It's officially tax season, in case you haven't realized yet. So I'm coming through with some tax tips for all of my small business owners. And please don't confuse this with your state taxes that may be due monthly or quarterly or semi-annual. This is completely different from those taxes. This is your annual federal taxes that's submitted to the IRS. What's up, icons? It's the iconic fashion figure back with a new video. Some of you may have already filed your taxes, but some of you may not. So for those of you that haven't filed your taxes, or even if you already did and you just want some tips for next year to make your tax season a lot better, I'm coming through with the tax tips and some of the best deductions that you can use to save you a little money when it comes to paying taxes. Some of you may choose to file your business taxes along with your personal taxes, which would be considered a Schedule C, but some of you may file your business taxes separate from your personal taxes. It all really depends on your entity and the way you chose to structure your business on how you will file your taxes. But regardless of how you choose to file your taxes, there's deductions out there for all of us to save us a little money when it comes to paying taxes to Uncle Sam. Before I even get into deductions, do you guys even know what a deduction is? Some of you may not. Some of you may have heard it when filing taxes, but you didn't really understand it because you pay someone else to file your taxes anyway. But you'll want to understand what a deduction is. And it's basically expenses that you can deduct from your taxable income. And you want deductions because the lower your taxable income, the less you'll pay in taxes. And we want to try to pay as little as possible when it comes to taxes. So jumping right into some of the common deductions for small businesses. And the reason I want to go through this list is because this is something you want to pay attention to throughout the year, not just when you're filing taxes, because you need proof of this stuff. You can't just say deduct that from my taxable income. You actually have to have proof, like receipts. So the first one I'm going to start out with, since a lot of you are running your businesses right from your home, is your home office. Did you know that you can actually use that as a tax deduction when filing your business taxes? Now, the home office you use, of course, has to be a room specifically for your business. So this can't be an office that is also your kid's playroom, or it may just be a desk inside of your living room and you're considering your living room your business office, which there's no problem with working from your living room with the desk. You got to make it happen how you can. You just can't use it as a deduction on your taxes. But if you actually have an office in your home that is specifically for your business, you can file that as a tax deduction. Now, before you go file your taxes, whether you're doing it yourself or you're paying someone else, make sure you get the square footage of that room because you'll need that information when filing your taxes. And then sometimes when you're filing your taxes too and you claim that home office, the deduction may be so small that they may not calculate it for that year, but it'll roll over to the next year. So if you filed last year your home office but didn't actually get a deduction off of it and it show that, it'll be a rollover, don't forget to include that rollover in this year's taxes. Another common deduction, which a lot of businesses are doing anyway, is advertising and promotion. And that includes logos, business cards, postcards, flyers, your website. You can do like social media campaigns and ads. That's advertising, and different events in the industry. If you're paying to promote your business at one of these events, that's advertising. Don't forget about travel. Although a lot of people may not have traveled last year because of COVID, travel is a deduction as well. So that airfare, the hotel, the food you're paying for when you're traveling, if you're using Uber or Lyft. When I used to travel for business, one thing that owner used to tell us, the moment you pull into that airport parking lot and up until the moment you leave the airport, everything is a business expense. So save those receipts. If you don't save it, it's like that expense didn't exist. But if you save that receipt, I can use that as a tax write-off. So keep it. It's on the company. Anything that's during that trip, save all of those receipts because those are tax deductions for your business as well. So I talked about using your home as your home office, but what about your personal vehicle? Do you have your car that you may use for your business as well? You may be going on business runs. Maybe you're doing deliveries with your car. Using your personal car for business is also a tax deduction as well. Just keep in mind it's only for the trips being used for business. So you actually have to calculate those mileage, keep track of that, gas receipts that's specifically for business, which I'm going to show you guys an app towards the end of the video that you can use to track all of that. But you'll want to keep track of your mileage, save receipts, for like gas or anything like that, because you can use those as tax deductions as well. One deduction that some of you may actually have, because some of you may pay like LegalZoom, or you may pay specific lawyers or anything to help you get your business registered. Those legal fees you can use as tax deductions. So like I said, for lawyers, for accountants, for tax preparers, so if you're preparing your taxes and you're paying for that, you can use those as tax deductions. Now, running an online business, I'm sure a lot of you have a phone and internet service you're paying for your business. Those are tax deductions as well. And then any of those large purchases like equipment, so you buy a new computer, those type of things, those larger purchases, different machinery to operate your business or anything like that, those are tax deductions as well. Save those receipts. You're going to hear me say that a million times in this video. Make sure you save receipts. Now, one that can get a little tricky because some people kind of try to abuse this category, but your meals. So like I said, traveling, you can use those receipts for meals, but let's say you're taking a potential customer out for dinner and you're buying them food, or like I did a photo shoot with a model and I took her out for lunch. That was a business dinner or a business lunch, so that I filed on my taxes. Keep those receipts. Just remember, it's business meals and not personal. So if you decide to run through a drive-through real quick because you need to eat lunch for the day before you get back to work, that's not considered a business meal. That's you just needing to eat because we eat lunch every day. Those aren't deductions, but any business meals, those are deductions. Now, a lot of us have business insurance. If you have cars for your business, you have vehicle insurance. You may have insurance on some of your larger purchases like your electronics or anything like that. There's insurance there. Health insurance if you have employees. If you're paying portion of your employees' health insurance, workers' compensation insurance is a deduction as well. If you have a business bank account that charges you fees, bank fees are a deduction. Now, everyone knows if you're paying, well, I don't know if everyone knows, so let me actually tell you guys, if you are paying employees for work, so if you're actually paying salaries, that is considered a deduction. You won't pay taxes on salaries, but that also goes for like contract workers and freelancers. So if you go on like Fiverr or freelancer.com and you hire one of those people to do some work for you, even if it's one job, keep those receipts as well, because that's also a deduction. You're paying someone to do work, so you don't pay taxes on that either. Just remember, if it's over, I think it's like $600, you have to provide them with a 1099. But other than that, you can just show your receipt that you pay for that work, and that will be a deduction for you also. A lot of you also, because you're on YouTube, like you're watching me right now, you may be paying for the different courses that are offered out there, different classes. You may be signing up for different trainings to further educate yourself on your field of business. Any education that is related to your field and it's, to grow your business, those are tax deductions as well. Moving expenses, not moving your own personal apartment or house, but moving like your inventory to a new location, moving like your files, the furniture, like the desk and everything. Any business moves you make, tax deduction. And then while I'm sitting here talking about taxes, any taxes paid, so payroll taxes, state taxes, property taxes, vehicle taxes, and then any business licenses that you pay for, tax deduction. And then of course, lastly, any donations you make is a tax deduction, which most people probably already know that. But if you look at some of these bigger businesses, they have specific charities that they donate to specifically, just so that they can have that every year as a tax deduction. So don't forget about these deductions. There's a bunch more that I can list off, but pretty much anything you spend on your business, keep your receipt, so that way your tax preparer, you can provide it for them, and if it fits in one of those categories, they'll make sure to deduct it for you. Now, I just want to go into some of the software, the apps that you can use to keep track of this, because you hear me keep saying over and over again, keep your receipts, track your mileage, all that type of stuff that you need to keep record of. You don't want to last minute, right before filing your taxes, try to scramble and get all of this information. You want to have it already ready, so that way you can just forward this over to your tax preparer and have your taxes done quickly and easily. And you also want to keep record of it in case you're audited. There's nothing wrong with being audited. Sometimes they just select people randomly, but you have to have proof to back up the information that you just provided. So one of the ones that I actually started out with when I first started my business was the QuickBooks Self-Employed, because you can list all your receipts and expenses in there. You can actually upload pictures of receipts if you have a physical receipt. That app also tracks all your trips. if you allow it to, see your location, and you can swipe which trip is personal, which trip is business. So that way it can separate those. And then at the end of the year, you have your total mileage. It also gives you a number about how much of a deduction you'll get off of that trip, but at least you have your mileage, you have records of all of it and where you went to and why. So that way, when it comes to filing your taxes, there's your mileage. All you have to do is give that to your tax preparer. I keep seeing a lot of ads about a company called Wave, which is for accounting for your business. I think they also do like invoicing and stuff like that. They also have apps as well where you can track that information. You want to have some type of bookkeeping to keep up with all of this. There's also QuickBooks also has a regular version, so not just the self-employed, but like QuickBooks Online where you can actually connect that to your website. There's another app in the App Store. I have iPhone, so I don't know if it's on Android, but definitely on iPhone, called Tax Note, where you can keep record of all your expenses. So every time you spend something, you can insert it right on your phone or tablet. FreshBooks is another one that I hear about a lot. Never actually tried it myself, but I believe it's something similar to QuickBooks Self-Employed, so that way you can keep record of all your receipts and it also tracks all your trips. And then lastly, you can go the old school way with Excel and then just filing your receipts. So you can type in this information on Excel and then file the receipt so you have record of it. With that way, it takes a lot longer. There's easier ways to do it, but if you prefer the old school way, you can do that as well. And then just to wrap this video up, I'm just going to give you a few tips for small business owners when it comes to filing taxes, things that you'll want to know not only during tax season but throughout the year. And the first one, I just gave you a few options. There's a million more, but use a software. Definitely want some type of accounting software, some type of bookkeeping, because it makes your life a lot easier and your tax preparer's life a lot easier when you have records of everything. All you have to do is forward that information over. So definitely pick one of these softwares that work for you and use it. Keep up with it throughout the year. It's also nice to have too, so you can just see how much money did you spend and how much money you actually made. Tip number 2, you've heard me say throughout this entire video, keep every single receipt that you spend any type of money on for your business, even if it was just a receipt for $1 and some change. Keep that receipt because those little receipts do add up and that can help you as far as your deductions on your taxes. Make sure you keep them organized too. So I normally organize my receipts by the month. I'll have a spreadsheet like inside my file folder. I'll usually write like a quick note, the date, the place, and how much was spent, and then the receipt gets attached to the back. So that way I have physical record of my receipts as well as it's in my accounting system. If this is too much for you, too much of a nuisance, something you just don't want to deal with, tip number 3 is to hire an accountant if it's necessary. Of course, you can do this stuff yourself, especially if you're just starting out, but if all else fails, just hire someone else to do it for you. You can hire a freelance accountant and then use that as a tax deduction. Don't forget donations, donations, and donations. Donations definitely help you out when it comes to taxes. So if you don't have any other deductions, if all else fails, you have donations. So if you have old inventory you don't need, donate it. Actually, I recommend trying to get rid of the inventory before the end of the year anyway, because that's usually one of the things you'll have to file in your taxes, the value of inventory that you have at the end of the year. So if you can get a tax deduction off of it, you might as well donate it. Old equipment that you may have, like old electronics you no longer need, donate it. Make sure you have some donations in there if you don't, especially if you don't have any other deductions, because those donations will count as your deductions. And then something I keep seeing everywhere, which I haven't actually done myself, but you can hire family, add them onto your payroll and use those as tax deductions because payroll is a tax deduction. But that's it for this video. This is the boring part of running a business, is the tax stuff, but it has to be done, so someone needs to talk about it. Thank you for watching.